Hi friends, welcome to my channel. It's Hazel here. And on today's video, we'll be talking about liquid soap. Actually, I have a whole bunch of liquid soaps here. As you can see, my big crock pot here is full with liquid soap. I have another big container filled here with liquid soap. I have my containers that I'm going to fill up for the bathrooms, my essential oils, my measuring cups, and my funnel. And then I have some soap paste here that I am finished making, and I will be adding water to it to turn it into a liquid soap like this. So in today's video, I'll be explaining a couple of things to you. First, I'll be explaining how to know when your liquid soap is ready. I'll show you and explain to you how you would know, okay, it's ready, and now you can add water to it. Secondly, I'll be talking about what kind of water you should be adding to your liquid soap. And thirdly, we will be talking about essential oils that you can put in your soap. And the last thing I'll be talking about is formulating a recipe for your liquid soap. So let's get into it. So liquid soaps are not very hard to make. The hardest part is making a formula so you have the right formula so your soap would come out very sudsy, and you can use it for like a multi-purpose or for various, like multi-purpose things like for washing your hair, for washing your hands, for washing dishes and stuff like that. So you can formulate your liquid soap for various uses, or you can make it a multi-purpose one. It's up to you. Now, I do both. I make one that's multi-purpose, like I said, for washing hair and hands and stuff like that. And then I make another one for laundry and for dishwashing. So the one that I make for laundry, I make it 0% super fatting, and I add a lot of lemon juice in it, so it would be good for grease for your dishes. And then for laundry, it would remove some of the stains like on clothes, on especially white clothes, or marks like grass stains and stuff like that. Mixing lemon in the soap definitely does a good job when using it as a laundry soap. So this is what I do. So now let me show you how you can know that your soap is ready. So right here in my crock pot, I have my soap that's been cooking for 4 hours. And when your soap is ready, it will look translucent. It have this kind of see-through look, and I'll show you what. So if you look carefully into the pot, you see the soap. See this part of the soap here? See, it looks like kind of Vaseline like. This is what you want your soap to look like. Now this part here, it has a little bit like whiteness in it, but it's okay because this was kind of on the edges, and it looks like that. But this soap has been cooking for 4 hours, and it is definitely ready to cook. So when I mix it up with the translucent ones, it just blends right in, so I know that it's ready. Even if it looks a little bit white, it is cooked. So you see this color, this Vaseline color, that's how you know that your soap is ready and ready to be mixed with water to dilute, so you can dilute it. Now the second thing is how to dilute your soap and what kind of water you should dilute your soap with. So when diluting your soap, you want to use distilled water. This is very, very important, guys. You need to use distilled water because distilled water is pure water. Distilled water doesn't have any bacteria, doesn't have any chemicals and stuff in it. So this will definitely prevent your soap from going bad. So you want to use distilled water. Distilled water also makes your soap remains like a more clear. It gives your soap this kind of clear, nice color that you want to have. So for example, you see this soap here, just have a little bit in the bottle, but you see how it looks nice and clear. That's when you use distilled water. If you don't use distilled water, it will have this kind of brownish color, like it wouldn't be so clear. So that's why you want to use distilled water, because distilled water is pure water. Then the next thing we're going to talk about is how to dilute your soap. So to dilute your soap, you want to weigh this part of the crock pot, the inner part of the crock pot. You want to weigh it first, and so you know the weight of that. And then when your soap is finished making, then you weigh the soap inside the crock pot, and then you subtract the weight of the crock pot, and then you know exactly how much soap you have inside the crock pot. So this is a very easy way to do it. So you don't have to be taking out soap and putting it on something and weighing it and all that stuff. It's just easier this way. So just weigh the crock pot first, then you subtract the amount. You weigh the crock pot and the soap together, and then you will subtract the crock pot weight. Then you know how much soap you have left. Very easy. Now, in my pot, I have 6 pounds of soap in total, and for my recipe, I like to put 4 liters of distilled water. 4 liters. So this is what I use for to dilute my 6 pounds of soap. And this works really well for me because I like the, let me see. This is very thick, you can't even hear it. But you can see the thickness in here. So it's not very thick, but it's just the right amount of thickness for me. And I use that for washing hair and hands and stuff like that. So this is really a great dilution ratio for me. Now, depending on the oils that you use or the butters that you put in your liquid soap, you may have to use a different dilution, because it could make, if you put 4 liters of water, it may be too thick or it may be too thin or something like that. So you have to kind of look and tweak it depending on your recipe. But my recipe, 4 liters of water work perfectly well. And depending on what I want to use the soap for, I just add 1 liter extra just to thin it out. Now, if I'm making a cinnamon liquid soap, I have to add 5 liters of water, because the cinnamon essential oils thickens my soap. So that I know for sure. So this is a little tweaking I have to make. So my 6 pounds of soap, to 6 pounds of soap, I'll have to add 5 liters of water. So this is what works for me. Now, once you pour your water in your soap, before you pour your water in your soap, you want to do a little pH test to test your soap to see how high or how low the pH is. And then you pour your water in. And once you pour your water in, you leave it to settle for a bit. Then you can test the pH again of your soap, and you can see, that will kind of give you an idea of how much things like additives you want to add to your soap depending on the pH. So for example, if you finish soap, the finished soap right here, say for example it has a pH of 10, right? Usually it has a pH of that when it's just finished. It has a pH of 10, at least mine. And then when I add water to it, it goes down to like 9, sometimes 9.5, it depends, right? And as I leave it longer, then the pH drops. And I want the pH to go down to 6 or 7. That's how I like my soap to be, because it's optimum for the skin at that pH level, between 5 and 6. So you want to be testing the pH of your soap so that you have the right pH. So then it can kind of give you an idea of like how much water you should put in, and also give you an idea of if you need to add additive, like if you need to add a little bit of citric acid, or if you need to add some apple cider vinegar to make your pH go down, or if you do not need to add anything. So that's some things you should keep in mind when you making your soap and using different recipes, so you kind of have an idea. Oh, maybe I don't have to add anything to this recipe because water makes the pH goes down perfect, or maybe I need to add citric acid, or I need to add both citric acid and borax. So these are things that you should just keep in mind, so you kind of keep an eye on your pH, so your pH don't go too low or your pH is not too high, because you need the right pH for your skin. If you have pH is too high, it can irritate your skin. And if the pH is too low, again, it's too acidic, so it's also bad for your skin. So you want to make sure that you have the perfect pH when you're making your liquid soap. So I'm going to go ahead and pour in my water. Because my crock pot is kind of small, I'm just going to add like 2 liters of water, and I'm going to leave it to sit. And later on, I'm going to put it into my big my big stainless steel pot, and I'll leave it on the stove on the lowest setting so that the soap can dilute. But I already have some that's diluted, so I'm just gonna pour them into my bottles. This are for the bathrooms, so then you can kind of see the consistency of this one that's already diluted. And then I'm gonna talk about the essential oils that I will be putting in mine. So let's do that. So first, let me put in my water. I'm gonna put in 2 liters, like I said. Oops, this didn't work. I'm gonna put in. Okay, let's move this out of the way. I'm gonna put in 2 liters, like I said, just because my crock pot is so small. I'm gonna pour that in here. And my crock pot is on. I'm just gonna give it a little stir. And as you can see, even when I pour the distilled water, it's quite clear. So this tells me actually my soap is ready. You see the water is very clear. So that's a good indication that there's no there's no soap that is not saponified in there. And I'm just gonna cover this, and it's gonna remain here and do its thing, and it's just gonna remain there, and it's gonna dilute, and I'm gonna come back and stir it, and I'm gonna add more water. So I have about 2 liters in there. It's gonna need 2 liters more, and then it's gonna be fine. So let's put this aside. It's plugged in, it's on low setting, and let's work on the one that's already done. Okay, so I have like 64 ounces of soap in here that's already diluted, and I want to fill up my jars for the bathrooms. And so I am just gonna pour soap in here. Then we're gonna talk about essential oils. Today I'm gonna be adding peppermint, eucalyptus, and some rosemary essential oils to those hand soaps that are gonna go into the bathrooms. And this is 28 ounces, and this should fill up my bottles. Now, when you use an essential oils in your liquid soap, you want to make sure that the liquid soap is warm. If you put essential oils in the liquid soap and it's not warm, sometimes it does not take on the flavor of the essential oil, and the oil tend to float at the top. That is what I notice. So I usually warm up my soap first. I just put it like in 10 or 20 seconds in the microwave. If it's not warm, it's like a soap that I didn't do today and I did a day before. I just warm it up a bit, and then I add my essential oils to it. And it works perfectly. The essential oils distribute evenly through the soap, and it gives the soap a nice smell, and it works really well. So this is what I do, and I've tested over and over. I've put soap that is completely cooled and I put essential oil, and the smell is just not the same as when the soap is warm. So that's what happened. So let's do that, and then I'll pour that. So let's talk about the essential oils that I'll be using in my soaps. So first of all, let's pour in the soap. This container holds 28 ounces of soap. So I am going to put around maybe 20 ounces because my jars have a little, oops, I'm making a mess here. My jars have a little bit of soap in them. Oh dear, I made a great big mess. Let's clean that up first. So I have about 23 ounces in here. And I am using rosemary and eucalyptus and peppermint because these soaps are going to be going because these soaps are for the bathroom, and of course it's to wash hands. And rosemary, eucalyptus and peppermint, they have antibacterial and antifungal properties, so that will be awesome for your hands. So that is why I'm using this. And I am just going to add 10 drops, just 10 drops to my 23 ounces here. You don't want to be putting too much peppermint and eucalyptus oil in things because it gives a kind of, it's very warming to the skin, and if you put too much it can kind of feel like a burning, tingling and burning sensation. And for people who have sensitive skin, you shouldn't use a lot of that, especially myself who have very sensitive skin. I cannot use a lot of essential oils that have this strong flavor. It really irritates me. So I'm just gonna put 10 drops and it should be fine. So let's do that. Let's move this out of the way. And let's move this closer. 10 drops. And you can even put 5 drops if you want. I can get this one open. I decided to put 5 drops of rosemary instead because rosemary, the scent is kind of very overpowering. So I prefer to use a small amount of rosemary. And plus rosemary oil is very expensive, so I tend to use less. And then I like to use one of those sticks, and these are just swish kebab sticks, and you can get like 20 or 30 in a packet for $1. And these are great things to use for storing when you're making products, and then you can just throw them when you're done, throw them away, or you can just wash them and use them again if you want. But I like to use that. But what I want to show you guys is when I add my essential oils, right away this soap becomes super thick. So it's so much thicker than it was before. So you have to be very aware of that. I'm not going to dilute this. It's fine this way. You just have to use less in the pump. But peppermint oil also makes the soap becomes very thick. So actually I'm going to add a little bit more soap to it. That's what I'm going to do because it's so thick. Clean my hands. And this is exactly what I was talking about, how your soap can become thick depending on the amount of essential oils or the kind of essential oil that you add to it. So you have to know your essential oils and which ones make your soap thick, especially if you're making soaps to sell like I do. I sell shampoos and conditioners and stuff like that. So I really have to know my essential oils because I can make a huge batch of soap and then my soap can go super, super thick. So that can pose a big problem for me. And that's why when I make shampoos and stuff, I tend to leave them for about a week in my stainless steel pot after I add my essential oils, because sometimes the essential oils just thicken things up, and then the worst thing you can do is sell a product for somebody and then it's so thick in the bottle that it cannot come out. So yeah, these are things that you have to be aware of. If you're making it for yourself, it's okay, but if you're going to sell this, you want to make sure that the thickness is the right consistency, so when you pour it in your bottle, it can come off in the spout. All right, so now we're ready to pour. I add some more to it. Let's give it a stir. All right, it's not very thick anymore. It's better. And let's pour it. I have to be careful because this already has a good amount in it. I think it's about what 2/3 in there. I don't want to make a second mess on the counter. All right, so this one is good. That one in. Ready for the bathroom. So now my jars are filled with the soap, and I can just put them in the various places in my house where they need to go, and it's all done. The last thing we're going to talk about is the formulating of your recipe, and we'll just talk about how to formulate your recipe so you have a perfect recipe for your liquid soap. One that's going to give you the amount of suds that you need. One that's just going to give you the perfect sud. It's going to make you have a good consistency when you mix it up with your water, which is dilution. It's going to dilute it. And one that's not going to be cloudy. So let's talk about what kind of oils and butters and stuff that you should put in your formula. When you're formulating liquid soap, you need to know what kind of oils cause cloudiness in a liquid soap. That's very, very important. So you need to study those stuff and make sure that the oils that you put in your liquid soap would not cause your soap to be cloudy. So for example, I noticed that if I use a lot of olive oil in my soap, it tends to make my soap more cloudy. So I want to add olive oil in my soap, but I have to use like a 2% or 5% ratio of amount of olive oil, or I tend to have cloudy soap. Now, nothing wrong with a cloudy soap. That's fine. But if you're going to sell soap, and maybe you're going to sell like a bubble bath, or if you're going to sell like a shampoo or something like that, it may be very, very dark, and maybe you don't want like the look of it, so you may have to add some kind of additive. Like I don't use any like micas and stuff in my products, so I'll have to add some natural product like a herb, like a finely grind herb to give it a color or something like that, so some onato, or I'll have to add some kind of spirulina to give it a different color. So these are the natural colors that I'll have to add to my soap if I want to give it natural color. But most of the time I don't want to do that. I just want the soap to be clear, so I just use oils that are clear, or what's going to give my soap a clear look, and also use distilled water so my soap comes out very clear. Also, if you leave your soap to sequester for 2 weeks, everything that's in the soap that's heavy is going to go down to the bottom, and everything that's light is going to stay at the top. So that means anything that is not saponified, any extra fat that's floating around there, it's any debris or anything that is in the soap is gonna go down to the bottom, and then everything else is gonna stay at the top, and it's gonna give the soap a very clear looking. And then you can strain out the soap, or you can siphon the soap, and you can have a very clear looking soap. So when I formulate my liquid soaps, I use canola oil, and I also use palm oil and coconut oil. So these are the three oils that I use because I find that these three oils make my soap really, really clear, just the way I like it. There are other oils like grapeseed oil that you can also use. And you can also use vegetable oil if you want to. And these also make your soap quite clear. But I know many people, soybean oil also, you can use soybean oil. But I know many people, they don't like soybean oil. And grapeseed oil is a very expensive oil. So if you want to be selling a product made with grapeseed oil, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive. Now I use grapeseed oil for my personal use because I can get it at a reasonable price where I live, so I can use it. But I don't think, like, I wouldn't be using grapeseed oil if I want to make like a big production. I wouldn't be using grapeseed oil if I want to sell on a large scale because it's a bit pricey, even if I get it at a really reasonable price. But you can use grapeseed oil if you're going to use that oil for your own personal use. So these are the three oils that I basically use to formulate my liquid soaps from my personal use. And I also use it to formulate liquid soaps for things that I sell, like my shampoos and my bubble bath and my hair washes and stuff, because it just makes a perfect liquid soap, and it just gives me that really nice suds. And I also find that the palm oil, it also gives me that extra moisture that I want, not too moisturizing that it like leaves your hair with stuff in it, because sometimes you use oil to make a liquid soap and it's super moisturizing and it doesn't clean the hair as well. It cleans the body okay, but when it comes to the hair, it doesn't clean it as well because it kind of leaves too much like moisture in the hair. So like if you have a lot of grease in your hair, you would see like it's sticky on your hair and you have to wash your hair multiple times to get it out. So just be aware of all of that when you're making formulations. And it's very good to try some different oils in your formulations and see what works, and then you'll try other oils for different things. Like I said, for my formulation for washing dishes, I use coconut oil and canola oil. This is the two oils that I use when I want to make a liquid soap to wash dishes, because coconut oil is very drying, but it makes a super degreasing liquid soap. So I make that one to wash dishes. I make also that one for laundry soap, and it cleans your clothes like amazingly. That liquid soap, it works awesome. And the difference between the liquid soap, my liquid soap, and the laundry soap is for the laundry soap, I add essential oils in my liquid laundry soap. And for my dishwashing, I don't add any essential oils. And why I add the essential oils to my laundry soap, because I don't always put softener. I make an all natural softener and I always put it. So when I put essential oils, it gives the clothing a very, very nice smell. You don't have to do that, but I like to do that just in case I don't put my softener in it. It just smells really nice. And for the dish soap, I don't really need it. And because I use that dish soap to also in my dishwasher, yes, I use my liquid soap in my dishwasher also. I don't want to put essential oils in the dishwasher because sometimes when you use essential oils inside the dishwasher, it makes like, I don't know how to, like, it kind of calcify things in there. And it causes a problem because I use like a humidifier and like a mister, and sometimes I put essential oils in it, and sometimes it calcify and I have to unclog the thing. So that's why I don't put essential oils inside my liquid soap, because I have to use it in the dishwasher. But yeah, so this is what it is. So guys, this is how you formulate essential oils. And so guys, this is how you formulate liquid soap. And this is basically my tips and little tips for you guys for today concerning liquid soap. And I hope you go out there and try liquid soap. I know it was intimidating for me in the beginning, but I got the hang of it, and I've been making liquid soap for the past almost about 8 years now. I'm making liquid soap and I love it, and I'll never go back to buying any soap in the store or anything like that. I make all my liquid soap, all my shampoos, conditioners, hand soap, everything. I make it right here. I just buy the potassium hydroxide in bulk, and this is what I do. So I just love it, and I just love the fact that I can tweak it and add any ingredient that I like to suit my body type, my kids body type, my husband, my entire family body type. I can just tweak it and make it the way I want it, and I don't have to worry about chemicals and all kind of junk and parabens and things that I cannot pronounce in there. So I just love that. So liquid soap is awesome and just so fun to make, and you can make a lot of it, and it lasts for a very long time. So let's do a little hand washing. Let me show you how sudsy my soap is, and that you really can make your own liquid soap at home because it works perfectly. So let's wash my hands. Not that they're dirty. So let's wash my hands using my soap. So let's put a good amount in my hand. Jeez. See that? Okay, let's put 2 pumps. Do you see that, guys? Do you see how sudsy this is? Look how sudsy my hands is. Okay, very sudsy. Okay, let me bring it closer so you can see. Extremely sudsy. Wash that out. And there you have it. There you have it, guys. My hands are clean. Smells amazing. It's a very moisturizing soap, and it makes a lot of suds. And you can make liquid soap too. It's not that hard. If I can do it, you can do it too. So guys, this is the video, and thanks for coming back and watching my videos all the time. And here is your words of encouragement. So today I want to say, be kind to yourself. Accept yourself for who you are. Love yourself and tell yourself good loving words on the inside in your mind so that you can feel positive. You know what I mean? And just enjoy your day and just enjoy your life. So, ciao, ciao. I'll see you in the next video.